there's stimuli, like the lawnmower, or like if anyone's got a blue heeler, moving anything with wheels around.
Yeah,
Giving your dog a reward for ignoring it, and or, as you say, leaving it. So rewarding the dog for leaving that thing alone. Pretty powerful stuff. Thank you. Now I'm going to go to Nerida from the Cat Protection Society, because you are the expert on cats. Now here we go from YouTube. Our questioner says, my cat has 3 litter trays that keeps urinating in the bathtub. How can I stop him from doing this?
It is very common for cats to pee or poo in the bathtub, and usually it's because people use bleach-based products. So if you use anything that has ammonia in it, like Domestos, your cat is attracted to that smell because it smells like urine to them. So it doesn't to us, but it does to your cat. So you need to use things that are more citrus-based, because cats don't like the smell of citrus so much. So use citrus-based cleaners, and then that's going to stop the cat going into that area because they're not going to like the smell.
Wow, that's pretty extraordinary. I suppose the thing that we often forget about our animals is that they have senses that are so heightened compared to us. They've got 100,000 times more powerful nose, and I suppose the cats must be similar. I'm not an expert at cats, so the animals, especially cats, they are attracted to these other smells. Are they trying to cover up the smell, or are they just seemingly, well, this is the place that I need to be?
Well, it smells a bit to them like a litter tray if you're using a bleach-based product. So imagine, the wee smell is in their tray, so they're attracted to that to go back to the tray and go. So if you're using bleach in your tub, then your cat's going to go to the tub thinking that it's already weed in there, and it's going to do it again. And you've got to make sure you really flush it out, because if it's even in the drain hole, they're going to still smell it, and they're going to go back there again and again, just thinking that there has been wee in there in the past, even if there hasn't been.
And cats very much so go to the same place, don't they? That's why we can litter train them so easily. They're very much so, this is where I go toilet. So can you sometimes with dogs we do things by association. Can you put the litter tray in there to start with, and then slowly move the litter tray away once you start changing to a citrus-based cleaning product?
I didn't really hear that at all.
Just with dogs, you can do a lot of association stuff. So would we be able to put the litter tray in the bathtub, then change the cleaning products, and then move the litter tray away so that they're already going into the bathtub? So the litter tray, putting it in the bathtub, and then when we slowly move away with the new cleaning product, would that allow the cat then to go, oh, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be going, in the litter tray?
It could, but you've just got to be careful that the cat doesn't go outside the tray. So if, sometimes they miss. So if you don't have a hooded type tray and you put it in the bathtub and they miss, then they really are going in it again. So what you'd need to do is put a number of trays in the tub, so there's no chance of them actually weeing in the tub. They're only using the tray, and then you could slowly start moving it out. Better yet, just close your bathroom door, and then they're not going to be able to go in the tub at all.
I love it. Management is often the best key when it comes to animals and children. Our next question is, can Farmer Dave get a better internet connection? Thank you, YouTube. I'm so sorry. We are in the country, and yeah, we don't have the best internet connection. So I'm very, very sorry for those of you that are struggling with this. We're in the sticks. Now, the next YouTube question is, this is definitely for Adriana. Is there a way I can get my dog to have a sleep in on a Sunday morning?
Sorry, could you repeat that one?
Is there a way I can get my dog to have a sleep in on Sunday morning?
Well, again, it should be through training. So if you want to sleep later, just close your door and don't allow the dog come to your room. So one thing is running, go exercise. So that will tighten up the dog, so you can have more time to relax. That will the first way that I think that you can do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So Saturday, go hard, and then Sunday, you all get to sleep in.
Yeah,
And
correct.
relax. I
Also,
like it. I like it.
use a lot of puzzle toys. So the puzzle toys will stimulate the brain of the dog and they tie it up of them. So that will be an easy way to go. So that is called enrichment toys.
Enrichment is definitely the way to go. I mean, like us, we need to be able to be doing things, and you've got to really make the dog's life lots and lots of fun. And those games that you showed in your training segment, absolutely powerful stuff. Now we have a great YouTube question here. This is something that is really, really, really powerful out here in the country. What is the disease that dog gets from rats? How can I prevent my dog from catching it? So, Dr. Peter Chitty from the North Shore Veterinary Clinic, I'd really like you to ask this one. Rats and animals, our pet animals, they can often have transference diseases. What are those diseases and how can we prevent them in our pets?
So I think the one the listeners talking about is leptospirosis, which is not a new disease, but it is one we've seen in the lower parts of Sydney, particularly the more built-up areas where there's quite a large rat population. So the last 2 years, probably over the winter month when it's a bit wet, we've seen leptospirosis unfortunately affecting our dogs. Hasn't been huge numbers, but we've had about 10 dogs around Sydney University last year, and they've had roughly about the same again this year. And then unfortunately around North Shore Vet Hospital, which is based in Artarmon, we've seen 2 cases this year with leptospirosis. And unfortunately, both of those dogs have passed away. So the way that we believe they get the leptospirosis is from either eating rats or if they end up drinking water from stagnant ponds where rats have been urinating. So that's the way they get it. The unfortunate thing is that all the dogs that we've seen through Sydney University and ourselves have unfortunately passed away. So that's not been great. But the good news is there is a vaccination on the market. So it is certainly something we're recommending for clients in sort of the built-up areas around the lower North Shore of Sydney, around Narrabeen, Artarmon, Willoughby areas, and also in the inner city areas that they do vaccinate their dogs. So it's a course of 2 vaccinations, 2 to 4 weeks apart, and most of your local vets will have that in stock now. So certainly have a chat to your local vet if they recommend leptospirosis for you, but it is certainly something we're recommending to our clients in our area.
Peter Chitty, that is so important. I mean, we know that we can't manage rats without poison, but then of course poison brings so many more problems into the fray with our pets. And definitely out here we have a major problem with rats. So that's definitely something that I'm going to be seeing our local vet, Dr. Rob Dammit, about. Now I'm going to pass over to Kai and you can ask the next question, which I think is definitely going to be for you, Chloe.
If I only have an iPhone, how can I take a good pet portrait?
You can still take good photos on an iPhone. I still do it myself all the time. I think it requires probably a little bit more patience. iPhones have there's a bit of a delay between pressing the button and when it actually takes the photo. So you kind of have to be a tiny bit of a mind reader as to what your dog's going to do. And just anticipate a little bit. If you can get them to sit super still, then good on you. If you can't, just take lots of shots. There'll be a frame in there somewhere.
Yeah, there's often that you can press a button that takes like 100 photographs and then you go back through and go, oh my goodness, I actually got a good one.
Correct. That's
now, and also what about using treats? Like you can often put a treat or stick some peanut butter to your phone so your dog looks at it. Have you thought about doing that? Does that work?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, as you saw in my little section of my video, for Missy, it's a tennis ball. If I hold a tennis ball above my iPhone, it's exactly the same. There she goes. It's exactly the same if you're on a camera or if you're on an iPhone. Just hold something above the lens, as close to the lens as you can to get their eye line looking straight at you. It works for any kind of camera.
Now, the next one is a common one. And if you follow Rough Track's social media, you would definitely see that we have this problem with Groom, who's the mascot of the New South Wales Blues. He's a little pup that is a blue heeler, and he's destroyed a lot. Now, the question from YouTube is, how do I stop my dog from destroying its bed? We might start with you, Dr. Peter Chitty, and then go to Adriana.
I just making sure, I think probably what a lot of the Adriana's talked about before is just behavioural enrichment and making sure that they've got other things to distract them. So chewing and that what is a pretty normal, but is a very normal behaviour. So you just want to make sure that they're chewing for good rather than evil. So making sure they're chewing things that are appropriate and they are enriched, because often it's, if you have a look at the environment, it can be that they're doing it out of boredom. So making sure you're distracting them and giving them other things to do.
Adriana, you got any more hot tips on how to stop a dog from biting or chewing or destroying its food?
Yeah. So basically, what is showing is that the dog is bored. The only thing that he got to entertain himself is the bed. So we need to provide enrichment toys. Different enrichment toys for him to entertain in different things. And again, through training, we can teach the dog what is allowed for him to play with and destroy. Some toys he can use for get rid of this energy and destroy the toys. But we need to train him and let him know which toys are allowed to do that one.
Yes, the key there is behavioural enrichment, training, and also just be patient. I mean, we were all young once, and I know when I was a kid, I'd be writing my name everywhere, all over the homestead. Even some kids still to this day still tend to do a bit of mischief. So sometimes it's just be patient and don't hurt your dog if your dog does something wrong. Don't come home and reprimand your dog well after the fact. That guilty look on their face is just them going, well, you look really angry. I don't want you to be angry. So I think patience really does help, especially with young dogs. Give them a break. You know, they live in this very modern world that we've constructed. We've got to give them some slack. Now, another question for Kai.
How can I groom my dog without him biting me?
How can I groom my dog without him biting me? Right, we're going to go straight to you, Adriana. On
Yeah,
this
that's
one.
fine.
Lots of dog
Again?
questions. I think the cats of Sydney must be amazing, Nerida, but lots of dog questions. How can I groom my dog without him biting me, Adriana?
Okay, it's a game to do that one, believe it or not. So we need to create a positive association between the dog and your hand, because your hand is the one that is going to be close to them. So through positive association, we teach the dog to be restrained with our hands or to be touched with our hands is safe for them. So what we normally do is you start giving him as slow strokes, gentle strokes, and then you say yes and reward the dog. So the dog will start making the association that with my hands around him, and a good thing will happen after that one. That is the treat that he's going to receive. So we need to start from the beginning, since they are puppies, to teaching them that to be close to us and touch with us is going to be okay. Then you need to present the brush that you are going to brush the dog, and don't put on top of the dog. Just present the brush and give it a treat. Present the brush and give it a treat. Then when he see the brush like a nice tool, you present the brush and you give me a treat. Okay, so now we are friends. Then when you put the brush on top of him, very gentle, give it a treat. So everything is trying to make a positive association to whatever we are going to present to the dog. And then obviously that is not going to happen in one day. You need to practice that every single day and baby steps until you will be able to start brushing him without biting.
Love it. I love it. So as Steve Austin, one of the great trainers of Australia, says all the time, small steps to success rather than giant leaps to failure. Don't just come straight in with the grooming equipment, slow it down, hand first, then slowly increase the brush before it even touches the dog. I love it, Adriana. Thank you. Now we do have some cat questions. Righto, I'm going to hand over to Kai.
Is it safe to grow cat grass in the same pot as tomato plants? Or could this be toxic for my cat?
It would, I would probably suggest not growing them together in the same plant. pot. Cat grass is totally safe for cats. The tomato plant itself is safe for a cat, but once the tomatoes start growing, they can be toxic to your cat. So it's the seeds in the tomato plant that can be toxic to your cat. So it's probably best not to plant it with anything. But what I would suggest is if your cat is an indoor cat, that you're having some cat grass inside and then some outside. So you rotate the pots, and then that way it lasts longer. So your cat will be chewing the pot that's inside while the pot outside is thriving, and then you can switch them over.
Right, and I'm assuming this question is not from the ACT and they're talking about tomato plants. So now just with the cat grass, is that the same as catnip? Is that exactly the same thing?
No, totally different. Cat grass is actually a type of grass, and cats will usually chew on it to help their digestion, whereas catnip or catmint is a herb that's from the mint family, and that is more smell-based. So the cats just like the smell of it, and they'll have a chew on it, or you can dry it out and put it in their toys, and it'll help them play a bit more. Or if your cat's a really chilled cat, it'll help them chill out a little bit more. If you have a really hyperactive cat, then I would suggest not giving it catnip because it can make them more hyperactive.
Goodness, so it's kind of like ADHD.
Yeah, exactly.
People. Now, this is a great question, especially for people with older dogs and people that tend to give their dogs mostly canned food. How, Dr. Pettichitty, can I get my dog's breath to smell like roses as opposed to its backside? Because there's a lot of dogs out there that have very bad breath. How do we... Chloe, how do we improve our dog's breath so we can have them all over us and enjoy the experience rather than thinking, oh my God.
Look, the same question probably applies to cats as well. So bad breath, 9 times out of 10, it relates to bad dental disease. So if you have a look, and I do recommend clients do it, have a look inside your pet's mouth and just have a look at the teeth and start when they're very young, when the teeth are pearly white and they should have that beautiful colour to them. And you should be just checking them regularly to make sure what's happening with them. So generally the bad breath is because they've got tartar on their teeth. And tartar, it sounds a bit disgusting, but it's basically just pus on their teeth, so hard. It's basically bacteria and protein, so it smells. So 9 times out of 10, the bad breath is coming from dental disease. So you need to look at addressing that. So really important from an early age, getting them used to having good dental hygiene. Probably the easiest way is making sure they're on an appropriate diet. So things for them to chew, either hide products, bones, or there's some really good dental diets. So the dry kibble, which help keep their teeth clean. And if you're really brave, you can try a toothbrush and paste. I haven't had too many clients who can do it. I think I've had one client do it with their cat, but it is something which does make a real difference. But there are some other conditions too. So don't necessarily just think it's the teeth. So sometimes the older animals can get kidney disease, particularly thinking of cats, and that can often give them a bad breath as well. It's slightly different, but that's not related to dental disease. So don't just assume it's all about the teeth, but it is mostly about that. So when you're next in to your vet, get them to have a look at your teeth, or do it for yourself. Have a look and just see if they look brown and yellow and horrible, then they're probably bad.
Right, and I mean, vets do dental care. I mean, vets pretty much do everything that we need for all of the specialists. You guys can actually do everything for your animal, including the dental hygiene. So some of the things that we can get is like go to the butcher and get the fibrous ribs. You can get from your vet that helps the animals to chew and get rid of that plaque and tartar buildup. Yeah,
so it depends on how bad the teeth are. If you get them early, preventative's obviously the best way to go. So get them early on either raw bones, so you can get them from the butcher. Some of the dental products, so dentist sticks, which I think you can get at the supermarket, or greenies, which are the toothbrush shaped product. anything which your dog or cat is spending sort of 20 minutes chewing at is going to be beneficial for their teeth. But yeah, definitely getting them to chew and eat is going to make a big difference to them.
Now, we are talking a lot about dogs and cats, Dr. Peter, but the same thing applies for rabbits and guinea pigs. Can we do oral hygiene for them?
It's a little bit harder, but certainly rabbits do get bad teeth. And they'll often, if they've got what we call malocclusion, so if the teeth aren't lining up properly and they're getting an overbite, then those teeth will continue to grow. And so they'll often need work done with them. And in some cases, we will remove the teeth because they'll start cutting into the gums. So often they need constant sort of trimming of those teeth if they're not going to do it themselves. Guinea pigs to a lesser extent. Ferrets, we actually do dentals on as well. So a bit like dogs and cats, we can do an anaesthetic and clean up their teeth. But certainly rabbits, dental disease is a big problem for them as well.
Right, great to know. Now, I'm going to chuck two questions in one here for you, Chloe. First one is, should I start an Instagram account for my cat? And we'll put it out to any of my animals. And also, how can I get my dog to stand still for a photograph? So over to you, Chloe, and then we might go to Adriana as well.
Yeah, so I think, look, there's no harm in starting an Instagram account for your pet, whether it's a cat or a dog or guinea pig or rabbit. Obviously, lots of pets have Instagram accounts with way more followers than people these days. I meet a lot of people who are asking me to take photos for their pet's Instagram account. So yeah, give it a go, see how you go. And in terms of getting them to stay still, I think, yeah, this is definitely also one for Adriana, but it's just practice. You know, a lot of my sessions end up being a couple of hours of training, really, with the dog, because it's just practice to sit there and have patience, and they obviously get a treat every time they do the right thing. And some dogs actually end up learning that when they hear the shutter go, they're going to get a treat because they've done the right thing and they've sat still and it's all nice and fun. So it's, yeah, if you're lucky enough to have a dog that's nice and calm and sits still for a photo automatically, then great. But otherwise, it's just practice, keep doing the training. And yeah, maybe Adriana can add a little bit more to that.
Yeah, of course, there's two things that you need to do. The first one is to teach the dog to go to look. So when you are teaching the dog, look, you put the treat and you do the hand signals, look. So the dog is going to look at your eye. So he's going to put his head up, look, yes, and reward, or bridge and reward. Use the clicker or the marker. The second one is to teach the dog to stay. So this is the hand signal for stay. So the dog learns that when you say stay, they maintain the behavior, then you say yes and give it a reward. Easy. And then you will have a beautiful fun.
I love it. Easy, easy. That's what all dog trainers say. It's so easy. Well, thank you so much to all of our panelists, Dr. Peter Chitty, Chloe Lampert from Missing Me Podcast, Mary Aiken from Cat Protection Society, and of course the amazing Adriana from Pets That Wow. Now, from me, Farmer Dave, and Kai from Rush Track, we cannot thank Willoughby Council enough for this incredible day, a very, very 2020 pet festival. And again, Willoughby loves pets. So thank you to all of our panelists. Thanks for all of our questions that have come in, and we really hope you get out and about with your pet and start really doing stuff with your animal, because there is no greater pleasure during this whole lockdown 2020 coronavirus experience than spending more and more time with your animals, because let's face it, they're often better than people.